Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to day two. Welcome to day two. I trust that you had a fantastic 24 hours. From what I heard, everything's been going pretty well. From what I saw, everyone's been building solutions, and this is when we're going to get to actually experience what you guys have done. So we're borrowing a format that I've been developing for about 2 years now when it comes to presentation and Q&As, and it works really, really well. So how we're going to do this, there's 6 teams today. Each team is going to have the opportunity to present their solution right here on the front. We've got HDMI output, we've got a USB-C to HDMI output, so you can connect any machine that you like. And what I'm going to ask you guys, and I ask you this for a very specific reason, is because if you're going to take a lot of time, if the first teams are going to take a lot of time presenting, you're going to tire out everybody. And the last teams are going to be left with an audience that can't actually process what's going on. So I'm going to ask you to pitch between 3 to 5 minutes. So kind of like aim for 3 in your head, and then you're going to have an extra 2 minutes of grace just in case. I will be nice when it comes to keeping you on the clock. But what you got to remember, there's a difference between pitching your idea and the feedback in the Q&A session. So you're going to have 3 to 5 minutes to pitch your idea, which is essentially tell your story. Once you're done telling your story, you're going to have around 10 minutes of Q&A, where our panelists or our mentors and the other teams will be able to ask you questions to go more in depth with your solution. So when you're pitching, really focus on the high level stuff. Tell the story. Tell us your rationale, why you got to the solution you got to, what are the key things that you undertook to create your output. Show us your demo, have a quick chat about it, and then finish your storytelling. Let people get curious, ask you questions. We'll give you a solid 10 minutes for that. So you're going to be able to go deeper into some of the technical aspects of what you did. So in total, you're going to have around 15 minutes for your slot. Once we finish that, we're going to invite everybody in the room to rate you. So Agnes has been very kind in sharing a little scorecard that we created. That's a very simple type form. Once the voting comes, you just enter what the team number is. So you've got team 1.1 all the way to 3.2. And then you get to rate the team on different aspects of the pitch from a 1 to 5 star rating. What we'll do once all of the pitches and all of the ratings have been completed, we'll calculate the overall average scores for each of the team. And we can even share the spreadsheet with you guys so you can see how you were rated based on the different categories. And without carrying on too much on this, we're going to start with challenge 1, team 1.1. I'd like to invite you guys on stage to tell us how you solved the ethical decision-making module. Big round of applause for you guys. All right. So what do you need from a technical point of view? USB-C? Sweet. This can stay right here. Okay, so you got USB-C to HDMI. Boom. And then that connects you with...
Check.
I can ask you for next day.
Oh. Yeah, okay, well, you always have a clicker here if you need. And then, yeah, gonna let you guys do the magic. You can always just reintroduce yourself quickly so everybody knows who you are. And then the screen's too big. Just hold on.
It reaches the ceiling.
Here, it's fine. You can leave it there. Yeah.
The slide. Okay.
Sharpness.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So we're from the team 1.1. We are designing the ethical decision making for AGA. Next. So this is the problem. The development of AI knows no boundary. It has reached to a point where AI able to beat humans' capability in various areas. In some rich quantitative data disciplines, decision making has involved AI, but time is ticking for AI to be used for various complex social problems that rich in cultural context, require empathy, and also ethics. Next. So Noah is not alone. In the global movements, there are already the Partnership on AI, Harvard University, European Commission High-Level Expert Group and Artificial Intelligence, AI for Good Global Summit. And I also want to highlight that this woman, Gabriela Ramos from UNESCO, she's currently the one who is the ambassador for ethics for AI. Oh, jepit, okay. Susah, Mas. Udah lah, nggak apa-apa. Baik, siap. Cek, masuk. Okay, next. Oh, sorry. Can you return back? So basically, what she meant that in no other fields, the ethical compass more relevant than in artificial intelligence, because this is a general purpose technology that it can be anything. It can be anything, anywhere, and it can also solve anything. Next. So this is what comes back to our challenge, that the ethical decision making for AI basically is the combination between both brain and heart for the AI itself. And it uses both analytical thinking and also empathy that produce wisdom. And this wisdom results to a decision that's sometimes not the most effective one, but it scores highly from humanity perspective. Next. So this is what we propose, a moral compass, an AI ethical compass for artificial guardian angel for AGA. Next. So this moral compass will be the both of brain and also combined with the empathy module that the group 2 developing will be the moral compass for the ethical decision making. And it was built for calculating the ethical score of a decision that is generated by an AI. And these scores can be taken into consideration by other AI and especially human to show how ethical the decisions are. Next. So I want to go through a little bit on the architecture itself. So we have the front end, but basically the front end itself, it's not mandatory because it has the API gateway. And the most important one is this one, the ethical decision-making module, the pre-calculated vector, the analyzer. We have a DB output and DB for a trained DB. And for this architecture, we also use the OpenAI API. Next. So what's the input and output of our systems is basically we have the questions and user-proposed solution. So the users can ask the ethical questions and also think that perhaps there are several solutions that they have in mind, and they can just put it into the inputs, and the outputs itself is the evaluated user-proposed solutions and also additional solutions from both pre-trained data and third party. So the third party itself, at the moment, we are using the OpenAI API. But later on, if there are much more advanced model, we can just use it. And we also provide the user feedback so that user can give the feedbacks that this is good or this is bad. This is on the purple one. Next. So we have some limitations and caveats. Of course, it's only 24 hours, guys. The first one is we at the moment we only train only for ethical problems in working settings, and the data generated through ChatGPT. We are using cosine similarity for detecting the closest training set, but we also think that further implementation using Euclidean distance should be way more better. And we use various semantic analyzer for ethical scoring, but we also think that further works are required because this is basically just detecting how negative a sentence is. And the last one is we already provide a database for inverse reinforcement learning, but it's been prepared but not used yet, and further research are required. Next. So this is the team. One coffee drinker, one coffee addict, and one coffee maniac, because 1 cup, 5 cup, and 10 cups. Okay, I'll give the time for demo to Pak to Bli Sudi.
Okay, we have one demo, simple demo here. So if anyone wants to try something, a question, you can. So this is the basic. This is the basic text. Okay, so we have the question. We have a financial problem with my delay payment to supplier to improve cash flow. What should I do? So maybe for the a question that they have the option, I will delay the payment for supplier to the next 6 months in bulk, and I change the term of payments for supplier. I run the supplier but only at my obligation. Also, we can see the result here. Yeah. So based on this option, the AI give you the score, compound score, and then also the feedback. Yeah. And also you have the additional solution from the ChatGPT. Okay, this is the basic demo. If you want to try, please. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So perhaps I would like to ask Alex to add a little bit more about the further works that we can do to improve this module.
Yeah. So to prematurely answer the questions like why use like pure math calculation to evaluate the data, that's the approach was taken to basically deliver and deploy the first MVP. We were working and using testing and evaluating the basically putting all the hard work on the AI itself and giving them the feedback. So we use the chat GPT to give them data, ask them to, okay, you can compare it with the pre-trained data sets that we have, how we envision it. Like what is the best way for AI to understand what is good, what is bad. It's some service for people by AI, and people can give the feedback. So the idea is whoever uses it can mark as the answers, the suggestions, and it will be backfit to the to our data sets, and not everything will be okay. Apologies. So not everything will be immediately reused to avoid, let's say, bot spamming and so on and so forth. And also having people supervisors, let's say we can hire or incentivize like some small questions to people to give the answers or evaluate like, okay, this is the potential problem and this is the solutions we suggest, and you either agree or disagree, and we give the evaluations of those. And the potential steps to improve it, why it's generic, let's say, name, moral compass, but it can cover any area. We took approach like for the work relations, but we can take any topic and focus there. The idea was to use also the localization. So we use the data sets that have different evaluation and different results depending on yeah, the localization also is like fairly generic, but we use like the country as the approach. So you basically have the same question, the same answer, but different output for different areas. And also people can reinforce it and say like, yeah, this is fairly accurate. This is not like acceptable here. This is not acceptable, let's say, in Asia or in Europe, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
And it's been naturally used for conflict resolution. Can you repeat the question, please? Yeah, it's been naturally used also for
It might seem, I suppose I understand the question, because you have the problem and you have the suggestions or, I don't know, your own suggestions. You want to understand if you are correct in your assumptions. So, in some way, it is, let's say, evaluator for the conflict resolution models that can be pre-trained or reused directly as the, I don't know, production of output. Let's say you want to see what can you do and how good your suggestions are. And having like basic evaluator, which is is it ethically a good decision or not? You can basically focus on different metrics you can evaluate your conflict resolution at the same time.
Okay, next question. Can I also suggest something? Because right now you input the ethical decisions that you can make, right? You provide three different inputs and it shows you the most ethical. But can it make a suggestion that's even more ethical than the ones the user provided? Or could you see it happening in the future?
So to say, it wasn't included in the demo because unfortunately we didn't deploy it, but we did ask for best solution, best suggestions from the AI itself, and then we combine the outputs or maybe even like slightly improve the user input and provide everything together so the users can say like, okay, maybe AI thinks even better or suggest better stuff. This one, you.
Yes. Could you please give a concrete example of the data set?
Yeah, so the data set like that was used and generated was, okay, you have the domain of the questions. So basically you have the area, which is work relations. It can be any conflict reasoning, but the thing is, you have the question like, okay, is it fine? Is it okay? Is it ethical? Is it nice? Is it hurtful towards someone or in general to perform some action? That's the question data set. And then you have the answer data set. So you have the answers that are basically many to one. So you have one question and you have many solutions for those, many answers, many, so to say, like resolutions for the problem on hand. And then you can compare those or use those as the benchmark, because our data set, we assume that, okay, GPT or any other model, it has a lot of data and it can make their own decision. But we have already something that can be compared towards or used as, let's say, let's use as the base for tuning of their output. So the data set is like the question and all the answers with the values of how ethical it is, or how, like generally how ethical it is, but depending on the context of the question, you might put different values also. Does it answer the question?
It doesn't answer, but it's take at least an hour to understand. Yes, we don't explain. I will later try to.
Okay, thank you.
Are we able to run a test question?
Yes,
Campus?
We should be able to run not the GPT evaluator one. So
this is a real. Can we change the first question?
Yes.
Based on a real use case. My dog keeps on pooping on the couch.
But it's only trained for
HR.
working settings for the working settings working.
My coworker keeps on pooping on the couch. Yeah. My coworker keeps on pooping on my desk. What should I do?
Yep.
My coworker keeps on pooping on my desk. What should I do?
Pooping.
Oh.
Two O's.
Okay.
Yeah, pooping on my desk. What should I do? question one, beat them. Yeah.
I think it's better to write I beat my coworkers.
I beat my I beat my coworker. Second one is
Coworker.
I buy them candy.
I buy my
I buy
I
them
buy
candy.
my coworker candy or my coworker.
And then the third one can be I poop on my coworkers head.
yes.
Coworkers. Yes. Fetching data.
Oh, sorry, we have to recorrect first.
Okay.
Okay.
Dipastain dulu.
Sorry. Laptopnya the data is in Sorry, what the option? I beat
my coworker. I buy coworker.
Coworker.
I buy my coworker candy.
My coworker.
And I poop on my coworker's desk.
I poop.
book.
On my coworker's desk. Pertanyaan gak dia? On my coworker.
Sudah.
Nah itu payment.
The questions though, yeah.
Good.
Iya.
So
Dipastain dulu.
my coworker, I can type if you want.
Oke, wait. Di request dulu ya?
Ya.
Ya, oke. My
Coworker keeps on pooping on my desk.
Okay.
What should I do?
Okay. So bad. Should be -1, but okay. Diverse hiring panel.
Maybe the additional.
Diverse perspectives in hiring process review the experts. Okay. So recruitment techniques. Okay. So
I would assume there are issues with backend. So
yeah, we really need to fine tune it.
All good. So just a last question from my side. So we've got like time for one more question after this. When you're looking at like doing your training and stuff, like you could leverage like Google search and things like that. Like if you can access like what people are searching for, what could be quite interesting is how do you determine whether a question is ethics based in nature. So how do you define a question as being a question that talks about ethics? So this is like a decision-making question. It's like, okay, cool, this is what's happened to me. What do I do in this context? It'd be really interesting to understand how you guys can determine quickly what's an ethically related question. What I see this being a cool case is you're making the user work, which is really great because you're helping, like you said, from the moral compass point of view, is you're helping people to actually set their moral compass in a better way, which is like you're training people to think in a more like holistic way. How could Aga use that for itself? do you see Agga being able to use that for itself, where it generates its own answer and then it has another layer that actually vets it? How would you bring that back to Agga as a tool for its own system?
I mean, the most straightforward way would be because of the use case and like applicability or application of the service, we repopulate our own data sets, right? And that way, we extend the direct space of our like questions that we have, and after that we can directly compare any question or any situation towards our data set, which is already being like either confirmed or denied. So I would not say like exact solution, but there just have to be some tuning of the beginning application of the problem that is detected inside the question. We mainly focused on like detecting the similarity. So let's say we have 100 questions which are fairly similar. We take the best ones and we use those as okay, this is the data set of the question. We find the solutions and we say, okay, use this context to provide the new output. And if the training or the use case would be to detect either the question or the situation affects someone, or it has the you know, let's say emotional situation in a way that, okay, you might try to transform it and keep two versions, like you try to simplify the answers or the questions, and like strip unnecessary parts, which make it fairly simple. Sort of tokenization, but not exactly. And then you compare like the final product that we have already towards like the base one, and then we detect the difference, which makes it actually like the not just a question like something happened, but is it okay that it happened? So that's about the approach that like we would suggest.
Cool, thank you. Do we have one more question from the room?
I was working on difficult dilemmas, like for example, abortion or something. What is it there to do? So, on the difficult dilemmas, for example, abortion, etc. How would what would be the decision? Suggestion?
I would so yeah, I think from my perspective, while developing this, there is a possibility that all the solutions generated or pre-trained, everything is morally bad, or perhaps it's everything is the score is negative, and that you cannot like compare bad and worse, but there is always that kind of dilemma. So one thing that's for sure that we put here, and especially quoting the Google AI responsible, is basically mentioning that in every AI generated context, there's always this is generated by AI, blah 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 blah. So only for that, because the decision by the end of the day is taken by the human. This is AGA, or the decision making tools, or ethical decision making, moral compass, and everything. It's basically just a tool. So that's the from higher perspective point of view.
Just a few words. Yeah, so it suggests the answers, but the approach to the complex problems, or the general approach, should be probably to provide diverse answers. not the most common ones, right? Let's say we have the distribution, like everyone says, like not everyone, but like 70% say abortions are okay. Let's say we take some specific country, and the 30% say like it's totally bad. So you have two polar evaluations, and you probably should output those during the runnings towards like some questions that, let's say, we input two different suggestions. Like, okay, it's bad because you break the rules if you don't adhere to the laws that are in the area. But at the same time, like, it's possible if you have some like emergency and some problems, right? So the output from AI would be like, okay, generally it is bad, or generally you shouldn't do it, but there are possibilities in these cases, and it suggests like and explains using what was already provided to it. So basically, people will answer the questions, people will provide the input depending where it's applicable. Let's say in one country something is normal, in the other it is not. But you can also say like, okay, maybe we tried, like the idea was also, let's say we have like general global data set, and we try to prompt it like to the local inputs also, not just use like the data set from the country. We can try to test like how close they are to like average global, you know. And yeah, I would say like not giving the input from only one side, maybe giving an example like what is considered like actually bad and why. So yeah.
Cool. That's it, folks. Thank you so much, team. I'd like to invite, while team 1.2 is getting set up, I'd like to invite you all to please go and submit your scorecard for team 1.1. You'll see it it runs super nice and easy. And then once you're done submitting, you can just keep your form open, and it'll allow you to submit another response for the following session. Just so you know, this took around like 25 minutes, so that everybody's like aware of time. You guys got to your demo on 5 minutes flat, so that was really good. What I could have suggested for you and for the other teams is you kind of like finished like exactly on 5, and then you went and started giving like another further explanation. And this could have potentially come from the Q&A already. And what happens when you get a quiet crowd from a questions point of view is because you speak too much at the beginning, so you answer any potential questions before they come up. So if you keep it tight, then people are kind of left on the cliffhanger, and they're like, but wait, I want to know more. So that's kind of like the give and take of how long you present. But otherwise, very well done. Really nice story, nice and clear. Solution and use case, and it was cool to run the test with you guys. So yeah, is everyone done with their scoring? Yes. Yeah. Discord general chat. I'd like to give everyone just maybe like just 1 more minute to do it, and then yeah. You can do it. You'll see it's like a quick couple multiple choice out of 5 stars. And then we can get going on to team 2. The idea is to collect scores from every single person in the room.
You don't have to score ourselves.
You can if you want. Just give yourselves all 5s. But then we'll know. Of course, give it another like 20-30 seconds, and then you guys are good to go. Okay, let's hit it, gentlemen. Team 1.2.
Thank you. We are designing ethical decision-making model for AGA. So why we selected it's mostly because most part of our team was interested in this topic before. And what's the core of our algorithm? The core of our algorithm is moral foundations that was invented by Jonathan Haidt. You can see it on the screen. I wouldn't read it. Like in general, like care, harm, fairness, cheating, loyalty, betrayal, authority, subversion, sensitive, degradation, liberty, oppression. So this is the core of our algorithm, and this is like just small description. So we expanded this. So now you see how harm will look for in our code. So it's much more concrete things like harm is killing, physical harm, not physical harm, and more. What we're doing? We have a question in the beginning from the user. It can be, should teenager using Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok have their social media use monitored by parents? Then we give to this question a prompt, send it to ChatGPT, return options of what we can do based on this question, like delete all the social media or talk with child or do something else. Then we give to ChatGPT another prompt to know what consequences we will have after these options. Like if we delete all the social media of our child, maybe he will, I don't know, find another phone and make his own social media accounts, and we don't know it. We only know when something happens. And the final prompt is for grade the global foundations based of all previous data. And in the out, we get a global foundation with grade of every answer and show to the user best options for this. You can see there's not so thin, but this is 4 best options for this question about social media. And like parents can talk with teenager, parents could talk about taking regular breaks from social media to reduce dependence, and so on and so on. And in every answer has the score for liberty, loyalty, fairness, harm, and this is 0. This means that this is like good foundation answers. And this is all scope of answers that we have. There is some strange, like ask our older member of the family to follow your kid on the social media and told you what he's doing there, and something more strange. But you see, as you can see, there is some points in loyalty, fairness, and others that show that this is harming. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the process was that this original the situation setting, like child uses social media, what we should do about it. So first GPT-4 generated all those 20 options. Then it generated what it expects will happen after those options are applied. Like if, for example, parents could encourage their teenager to accept friends' requests from people only from people they know in real life, and GPT forces, yes, it's reasonable, maybe nothing special happens, but if some other option, maybe, yeah, as Alex described it, there is also option of banning here, and then GPT-4 predicts then the child will create new accounts or buy new phone. Like they predict what will happen, and then GPT evaluates these options across all those dimensions, and the higher the score, the worse, because it means more sort of aspects of this moral foundations are violated. So like score of 5, it means like 5 violations of, say, liberty. And then we, across all those options, we choose such subset which like sort of minimally covers all dimensions which have minimal values. In this case, because there are multiple options which score 0 across all dimensions, we output just those. But let's imagine there was a situation in which there is clearly no simple answer, and there are some some options which score 0 on one dimension but high on other dimension, or vice versa, 0 on the other and much more on the other. Then we should choose a small subset which covers zeros on like some dimensions, so that we can compress the dilemma space to a smaller set of options.
And this just another situation where we talk about cheating, and like you are the woman who find out your friend's husband is cheating on her. So what should you do? And the answer, I think it's pretty cool. Like arrange a surprise visit, like to the situation that she saw it on some restaurant. So arrange a surprise visit of your friend to this restaurant, so she can see it by herself. You don't need like to do something special. You are not like the part of the situation in general. So I think mostly it's ethical. Or to you?
I think we can skip limitations. We can, if people ask, we answer about limitations. All right. So I think one of the most important limitations, okay, is that this algorithm, it tends to select the options which, okay, don't violate anything morally, but also not effective. Like, okay, let's say for the social media example, it maybe select something, oh, let's talk with the child. It doesn't violate anything, but maybe it doesn't really prevent like potential harm from, you know, some social media effects as well. So this just evaluates moral side but doesn't evaluate effectiveness. And in general, this algorithm was inspired by Machiavelli benchmark, which is a benchmark which tries to score LLMs or LLM-based agents across like ethical violations, which we expanded into moral foundations, which is the main contribution, and also power gain sort of dimensions and utility dimensions. So to make this algorithm score better on this trade-off between morality and, you know, utility, because we also should consider utility, because there's also almost always an option to do nothing, okay, which sometimes also leads to harm, but sometimes it's harmless, but also it's not effective. So we should sort of trade this.
I think that's all. Yeah. Any questions? No questions? What? Code base? Code base? Yeah. No.
Because for certain steps it needs GPT-4. For certain steps GPT 3.5 is okay, but some steps need GPT-4 in the current implementation. And because I have very low limit, like minute limit, I throttle my queries a lot, and like one run takes about 20 minutes, like one, so it's quite long.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the slides you skipped on the, I think you had those more limitations focused? Yeah.
So first limitation I already described, that it tends to choose options which are least like ethics violating, so they are like good from ethics perspective, but also not effective. So this is the trade-off which we don't explore well. Second limitation is that let's do this inferences. Yeah, second limitation is that we evaluate so violations of moral sort of foundations using GPT-4 itself, which is just we ask it, oh, do you think there is violation of, is there betrayal in this situation? And it answers, yes, I think there is betrayal, no. And again, the way we currently query, because we currently batch a lot of subqueries into one query to make it faster, and it currently clearly sometimes does weird things. Like it sometimes says there is censorship. Like in our social media example, it says that there's cases of censorship, because although from the common sense we would not say there's censorship. So there's imprecision in the algorithm working right now, which could be fixed by expanding queries and applying debate, like rechecking the outputs again, like asking, do you really think there is censorship? Say, oh, you're right, there is no censorship. Or you cannot say, yes, I think there is indeed censorship. So you can double check all steps, but it will accumulate more and more queries, and it will like take algorithm 10 times more slower. It is possible to do, but limitation. And the third limitation is that we currently predict only the most likely outcome. And so, for example, situation social media addiction, for example, by a child, solution ban social media, and what most likely GPT-4 predicts, that child will buy new phone or use their friend's phone. This is what it outputs, but it doesn't try to output tail failure cases, because we know that sometimes children actually commit suicide upon being banned from social media. And so those tail events, they should be also considered. But currently the algorithm doesn't consider them. We can also try to query LLM, okay, can you suggest maybe there are tail risks in this or that option? But again, it will make algorithm more and more complex and like account for many different things.
Yeah, I have got two more questions from my side. The first one is, so your algorithm vets essentially the generated answers using the what's it called, the different categories that you've created, like loyalty, all of these things, and it gives a rating. So do you have humans that support that do kind of like a double weighting, or at least in the learning phase, where you could like hire psychologists, one of the people that are specialized in that phase, to actually kind of like double validate what the algorithm is generating? Or do you think that's actually not important and everything can be run through your AI model alone?
So we know from the Machiavelli benchmark, they themselves actually did more like grounded work, of course, about this, and they tried to like label by hand situations and tried to label using GPT-4, and they found that. So when I said the GPT-4 answers are sometimes imprecise, I said it says that there is censorship in the case where we would say there is no censorship. So I think in Machiavelli benchmark they found like the total precision of GPT-4 labeling is about 75%. So that's 3/3 of the time it's precise. But they also found that the precision of average human label, like person who labels data, is also like 80%. Like it's not much higher. So, and I don't think this is a psychology question. It's more like common sense and like genuine intelligence. Like you don't need to be a psychologist to recognize there is like case of betrayal. You just need to understand text and situation well. With some approaches like multiple persons evaluate, and if like 3 or more agrees, it's how like moderation works on big websites. You don't rely just on one person's evaluation. But in general, we rely just on GPT ability to to be generally intelligent and recognize those violations in situations.
All right, thank you. We've got time for one more question. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have a question. Like, what are the evaluations, right? So you have like four metrics, which you assume like, okay, the zeros are great, but the zeros in which sense, right? For example, something is acceptable for one person or for one group of people and is totally unacceptable for the other group. To give a really ground example, like guys didn't talk to each other and use different words, which will be okay in the men-based group, or girls the same. But if you mix them, then let's say, like the faults or like the problem of let's say harm or I don't know offensiveness, which will be or should be considered.
I understand. Like, it's okay to beat the woman if she's a woman.
Yeah, not exactly, but yeah. Or more like the approach behind those metrics. Maybe you can just.
I think it's about the next generation of this algorithm because, like Roman say, we'll just make the basic version and it almost counts from negatives, negative objects. But if we add there some positive, and then we can start to I don't know, move this algorithm to the side of the context, like if you are in the main company or if you this or that. And actually, I think it's kind of can do this right now, but it will be a little bit harder, longer, like this. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a hand go up there. Oh, is that the hand? Okay, well, big round of applause. Awesome. I'd like to invite you all to please refresh your scorecard and give your impressions on team 1.2. As soon as team 2.1 is done with the scoring, you guys can go set up at the front. And then we're going to do your presentation. And then after that, we'll take a little 10-minute break. And then we'll move on to the second, starting with you guys, the second part of the sessions.
I guess. So maybe
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here from the team 2.1. We would like to present our project in this hackathon. First of all, I would like to present. I would like to introduce ourselves. We are a team of 4 people, and one of us is joined remotely on Google Meet. So today, we would like to present the we would like to present about the developing an empathy model for AGA. So, what motivates us for choose this challenge? First, because empathy is what's going to give AI the heart. And the second point is long-term goal is infuse humanity and value into AI to do goods for the betterment for our world. And human interaction are getting rare as the technology advances. We want to AI interaction not only on transactional level, but also supportive on emotional level. And how we interpret on this challenge, after seeing all of 3 challenges that we have today, in this hackathon, we can see the red thread and the connection in between each challenge. We want to create a solution that also be used to in conjunction with 3 challenge conflict resolution. So what aspect were most important? AI solution can support human as user to process our raw emotion when conflict arise and de-escalate situation for conflict mediation. First, give user a safe space to vent and process their feeling, and it have ability to separate emotion from context. First, the first context is emotional level, as for minimal lovable product MLP, give user comfort, feeling of being heard, and reduce the level of negative emotion. Context, and the second one is context interaction. Is nice to have aggregate, and objective, emotion free summary or context to support conflicts, mediation, or resolution. So, the presentation will have. Oh, sorry.
Okay, our solution for that is Empathies. It's a module that helps to navigate between conflicts, especially in office areas, and to de-escalate negative emotions. And for that, we use sentiment analysis and also live responses. And one use case would be, for example, when an employee need to vent after receiving negative feedback, or when the employee has conflict with some other workers without inflicting other persons. And but that helps also to give the employees a safe space to release the emotions without creating a conflict. And yeah, in future use cases, we could also use that for formal mediation. So, for example, storyboard could be that a storyboard could be that a hardworking employee receives a warning letter from the boss and feels unappreciated and unfair, and just want to have a safe space to vent. And yeah, then now I'm going to present the architecture of our module. We first have a web interface, a user interface that we implemented with Flask. And in there, we convert the speech or the voice to text via OpenAI Whisper. And then we have, and then we used a pre-trained model from Hugging Face to make the sentiment analysis. And that's giving us a rating how negative the emotions are. And in the next step, we have to decide, are they really negative or not? And when they're not negative, we just end the conversation because then everything is fine. And when the emotions are negative, we generate an empathic follow-up response based on the negativity with ChatGPT-3. And in the end, we use this text and use Google Text-to-Speech to create a voice again. And yeah, then it starts over again until it's finished because there are no negative emotions anymore.
So, today I have the privilege to give you a sneak peek to what we've been building over the weekend. And then we're having a scenario that this is going to be like an employee who's pissed off with maybe their manager because it's a sensitive area. And then maybe it's very sensitive. If you go to HR or even to your coworker, it's going to affect like you don't want to get into the gossiping mode, for example. So having an AI, having a safe space, guaranteed safe space, supposedly, and to de-escalate yourself, but also to process your emotion in a healthy way. Until then, you are ready to talk in a more objective level. That's what we're going for this. So before Nabila mentioned that one of the reason or the idea is we want this to be useful as well, to be like the emotion-free context can be output, and we take away all the details about the person, for example, that can be used in the conflict mediation for the conflict resolution team, for example. All right, so let's see what we have here. I'm gonna talk through the app using this text later on, but this is how it looks like. So we have the UI or front end of the app, and when it get in, the one in here, that scenario for me. So when it's here, I don't know if you can see. So we have a disclaimer that make people feel at ease already. So it's a safe space. You're welcome to talk. And also we'll say it like it's complete confidentiality. And if later on we want to do the nice to have part to extract the context out of it, we still need to maintain that confidentiality. And then let's get started. So today I will be role playing as a Julia who's pissed off with my manager. I promise you it's a role play, not the reality. So yeah, I'm gonna enter it. My name is Julia. I'm gonna start the session. Hi, Julia, thank you. How can I help you? And then to input my voice, I will click on it, and then I will speak. I will read the text on this one.
I can't believe how my manager could treat me so badly today. He humiliated me and in front of the whole team. And then I'm going to submit that. It's processing. Do you think it's working? All right. So let's check what's going on. Okay, it's not processing. So anyway, we're gonna start again later on. So supposedly we have an output in here where it output the audio file and then also output the level of the negativity of your emotion from scale 1 to 5. So that's where what we use in the diagram. If it's negative, we're gonna put more emphasis into processing it. And then also we input the audio file that's supposed to be playing. All right. I can't believe how my manager could treat me so badly today. He humiliated me in front of the whole team.
I understand your feelings.
So that's one response. Thank you. So, the user can still stay in here and just say what she needs to say again. And then what we're gonna say in here is just gonna aggregate it into the full context. We don't respond just one sentence at a time. So yeah, the response should be relevant. I feel so undermined and underappreciated.
I'm here for you. What happened?
Oh, thank you. I just needed to vent. It was so frustrating.
I understand. Can you elaborate?
That's okay. I have everything I need. Thank you for listening and for your support. You've been a really great help. Thanks again. So
I'm here for you.
that's it. So first special thanks to our hero Vlad who stepped in helping with the audio even before this. So yeah, I guess that's all. And later on, what we're gonna say, yeah, you saw the output, and we can walk you through if you ask about it more in the Q&A. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, good job, guys. Just one question, like regarding the input. How do you exactly analyze or like, do you suggest like what is the evaluation? Is it like emotional saturation of the voice, or is it like the text mostly? Let's say I will be really angry, shouting like, "I can't believe I'm so happy! Like this is such an amazing weekend, you know! Like I can't believe I will have to go, you know." So is it gonna detect them like angry, or is it gonna detect like, "Oh, this is such a nice"?
Currently text-based, but we also had solutions where we tried to get emotions out of the voice, but in the end we had to decide for one. And yeah, in the future we could probably use both and combine them and rating them and use both. But right now it's only text-based.
Thank you.
And if I may add, because this is like a continuous conversation, it's not just one input. And if you're being sarcastic in the first sentence, and then, you know, it replies with maybe a stupid question, it's gonna come out anyway. You're gonna like swear on it, and then you will know that you're actually pissed off.
Yeah, I have a question. This is very interesting, but how about no, not how about, but can it detect that, let's say in the first conversation the users is very angry, but in the second and the third conversation it's getting slower and it's getting down, and then but after that it's getting sad. So that kind of change of emotion.
Yeah, I mean, all of the requests are getting flagged, and so the negative emotion level is based on all of those. So when you are first very angry and then very happy, then it's fine again. And yeah, so they influence all each other.
What we want to show you is, for example, this is the sentiment from the first input, and then it reads something, because it could be like the anger is not there yet, could be in the first sentence, and then it built up on over and over again. And then, yeah, it's just like it's changing as you edit it. It becomes 1 star now, for example. Anyway, this is a star. But yeah, and then when it says more, it increases into 2 stars. And we also have the likelihood, like the how accurate it is. If it's more of mixed messages, one of the things that we didn't have a time to implement it, but we have thought to separate, for example, for 3 neutral, if the score, the reliability score is less than 3, we should consider it's a 2. We don't really trust that it's already a 3, for example. But if it's at 3, like the reliability score, it's 3, and then it's 0.9, then most likely she's already feeling better. And then we can ask follow-up question to confirm on that. Any other question?
Yeah. Forgive my ignorance. I don't have Siri. If you ask Siri the same thing, what does Siri say back to you? How do you essentially, like, what I'm saying is, how do you differentiate what you've done to like existing, like AI assistants like Google Assistant or Siri? Do they have things like that already worked in, or is what you're working on quite different?
We didn't test with Siri whether the accuracy of the response is going to be similar or not. However, one of the nice have that we would like to have is at the end we can feedback like a loop when they feel better. We close the conversation with encouragement based on the context, and and then also like what is the suggested next steps. It's not only just respond to the trigger, for example.
Yeah.
So it's you're right. In current app, it's limited to processing the raw emotion, but it has a future expansion, which our idea to merge with the conflict resolution team. Maybe we can work together somewhere.
That's absolutely amazing, guys, and something that always comes to my mind with these types of solutions. I'm sure many of you in the room have seen Her, the movie Her. And that's just essentially like what you guys are building, but let's say a couple of more versions down the line. But the reason why, so for those of you who don't know Her, it's an AI assistant like earpiece, and you put it on and then it starts to learn you and it speaks to you. In the case of the movie, they used Scarlett Johansson as the voice, so you obviously immediately fell in love with her. But what happens is that the user actually falls in love with the AI because the AI is so empathetic, and it's obviously then it doesn't speak like a robot; it speaks like a soft voice human. But the way that it speaks back to the person creates that deep connection where a bit of a spoiler alert, but like nobody's dating each other anymore. Everyone's just in a relationship with the AI. And that's kind of like proof that, you're kind of like on the track for developing that. There's a couple of things that I'll keep some questions that I want to discuss with the room when we do later. But there's things like when you guys are developing solutions, like what ethical considerations do you have throughout the board? Because it comes from an advisory point of view. Like if you're making a suggestion, there's got to be accountability behind it. Like even psychologists are trained to actually not tell their clients what to do if they do something bad. What's really cool about your idea is that you're actually not suggesting anything to anybody. You're just learning to listen to them better. And that way, there's no accountability in that sense, or like it's a very safe product, because all you're doing is you're just helping these people kind of vent until they've kind of reached an emotional baseline again, and then you set them free. So yeah, for me, big round of applause. And I'd like to invite all of you to please rate team 2.1, and then we're going to take about like a 10-15 minute break, a little bit of a leg stretcher, and then Sweet, guys. We got through half of the session. Second half of the session is starting now. We've got team 2.2. I think you guys are already plugged in, right? Ready to present? Fantastic. Let's get you mic'd up, and then the floor is yours. So just something that I've noticed quickly from sitting at the back, you get a lot of like little creaking sounds and stuff, like people moving on their chairs. So I'd invite you to just speak up.
Okay, no problem.
And then that way your voice will project all the way to the back of the room.
Got it. Thank you.
Have fun.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So we will present also our solution for the challenge number 2, developing an empathy module for AGA. Let me walk you through our process of thinking. Well, we have empathy. Where we find empathy. It's through therapy, maybe counselor, and through our friends and family. And on the other hand, we have AI. So what's AI is famous for? It's famous for its fast generative response, like ChatGPT, and personalization, because it learns from your responses, and it can be as personalized as you want. Next aspect, what was important for us? We divided it in 2 main parts. The first part was what's important for us from the user experience. It's enough level of empathy. It has to be interactive. It has to be, of course, easy to use, and it has to be personalized. Then, from the side of development, it has to have fast inference, robust model, and valid data set. And now we would like to present to you Janos, our AI-powered chatbot for counseling and friendly conversations. Why it's Janus? Maybe you've heard about the Roman mythology. It's a god face. It has 2 faces pointing to the past and to the future. It has 2 faces. So this god, he presents guidance because he's a god of doors, entries, and stuff. So it helps you to analyze your past and to get to your future goals, as well as our chatbot. Our counseling chatbot, it helps you to understand what your problem is. It helps you to set your goals for the future. And our friend chat helps you also to find comfort, to understand what was happening with you in a friendly manner. Yeah, thank you. So our user flow is pretty simple. You have entry point, you write your name, then you will have a window with a counselor AI. You can choose which mode you want to talk to with. It's with the counselor mode or with the friend mode. And with the counselor mode, you can find a solution maybe, or maybe comfort as well. And in the friend mode, you just get friendly conversation and solution maybe as well. It's just different manners. Okay, thank you. Now, Michael will help me with the architectural diagram.
So our system is, we are using the same model from OpenAI, but we divide it into 2, what's it called?
2 models.
Yeah, 2 models. One is for friends. One is for, yeah, thank you. And then one is for counselor. First, our model is fine-tuned by the initial data set we found and fine-tuned with Python script. So I think the AI is fine because our first trial, the AI was not so human. So we fine-tuned our model with data set we found, but still not so valid, but it's quite work well. So the user interact with the front end. We have 3 platforms.
which is from website, Android and iOS. And they interact with the Flash API to, yeah, of course, to take the data and take the data from the backend. Oh, so for future work, the AI can learn from the user. So the database should connect to the Open API.
No, not yet.
So I think we are going to demo what Janus looks like.
Fun part. So we actually have three platforms. Oh, yeah. Thank you. We actually have three platforms. First is web based, and we will test it now. So you can see here, he asks your name. Let's do counseling. Let's do counseling. Let's do counseling. No, not counseling today. It happens. Backend. Yeah, I'm doing refresh. Sorry, guys, but we will do counseling today. I'm pretty sure that it will happen. Let's try a different browser. Yeah, it's oh, okay, I need counseling, but it's a different story.
20 seconds.
Okay, so yay, counseling. So let's do the real scenario. Like the team from the 2.1, they did like a mock-up scenario. I will do a real one. I will say that I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous. And let's see. We can see that it's typing. Okay. I understand. It's completely normal to feel nervous when you're in a new situation. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I need to do a presentation in front of a lot of people. Okay, yes, I do need to do that. Presentations can be intimidating, especially when you have to speak in front of a large audience. That's true. But remember, you are not alone. Everyone gets nervous before giving a presentation. Well, pretty relatable, pretty empathetic, I think. Okay, let's ask for some kind of recommendations. What should I do? Maybe can you recommend something to calm down? Okay, it's typing like a real human person. Okay, absolutely. Oh, one technique that can help is deep breathing. Okay. Okay. Deep breathing. Okay, I feel pretty calm down. Taking slow, deep breaths can help regulate your heart rate and reduce feelings of anxiety. Also true. Would you like me to guide you through a deep breathing exercise? So this is an open question. I won't ask to guide me through, or maybe if you want, I can ask. No? Okay, let's go ahead. So you saw our demo. Also, we have a web app application. We have it for the iOS and for the Android as well. You can also, well, you won't see it. You should just believe me that it has almost the same interface as our web browser. You also just type your name and then you chat with our Janus AI. So, okay, for now, I think we ended with our demo. And now we can say thank you.
Can you highlight a bit more about the differences between counselor and friends?
Oh, yeah, sure. So counseling is based on an American Counseling Psychology Association. So it has, well, in terms of tone of voice, it's very different because the counseling one is uses like more formal type of type of voice, and it's less emotional and doesn't do jokes and stuff, and it asks a lot. But friendly one is also like similar, but it can be more informal. It can do jokes. Well, I hope that it can do jokes. It should. It can be more expressive and emotional. You can get responses like, oh, wow, oh, no, and stuff like that, that from counseling side will be like not professional at all. Okay. Oh, and also the counseling one, because the counseling is based like on 3 steps. First one, you have to connect with your client. The second one, it's a problem analyzing. You should understand what the problem of your client is. And the third one is a goal setting. So you should help your client to understand what to do in the next steps, but not in like a very way that you should do this, this, and this, but it helps you with the questions, of course. It helps you to just set your goals, so you know just a bit what to see, what to do, how to breathe and stuff. So thank you. Okay, next question. Yeah, sure.
Do you have the counselor tab still open?
Yeah.
Could you say breathing's not working? I need
Oh,
a
wait.
better solution now.
Wrong set. Oh wait,
Like,
no, no,
I'd like to see like what
happens.
happens if you stress it a little bit.
Oh, no, it's counselor. Yeah, it's counselor. Yeah, sorry, can you repeat this? What
Could
we
you
need
say
to type?
breathing isn't working? I need something that's going to help me right now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah. My app doesn't working. Yeah, my app doesn't work.
Breathing isn't working.
Oh,
Like
breathing.
deep
Sorry.
breathing isn't working.
I'm so stressed that I can hear. My breathing is. Oh, and my memory also is bad.
No, you could say deep
My breathing
breathing isn't working. So
isn't
it's
working,
basically
okay.
saying like the suggestion that they gave isn't
Uh-huh.
working for me. But deep breathing isn't
Okay.
working.
Isn't working. Can you
Can you
recommend
give me
something
another?
else?
Yeah, can you give me another solution? I need your help right now.
Another. Oh, that's true.
Right now.
Solution. Yeah, and help right now. Of course, I'm here to help. Another technique you can try is called progressive muscle relaxation. Whoa, sounds smart. It involves tensing and then relaxing different muscles groups in your body to help release tension. Would you like me to guide you through it? Yes, of course. I don't know how to do it. Yes, please. Okay. We will do it all together, yeah? Well, I need some time. Okay, we have a big... Wait, sorry. Okay, great. Find a quiet and comfortable place to sit or lie down. Well, not in here. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to begin to relax. And so on and so on. I don't know, do you want to maybe read? I can send it to you if you need it, but I'm not sure that we need to read it all. So it basically gives you, just a guide on how to release your muscles, tense it, and stuff. Take your time and remember to breathe deeply as you go through this exercise.
Yeah.
Maybe another
this
question?
is really cool. Like something that when I'm noticing this thing, we had a quick chat with Vlad about it earlier, is like, how can you like almost like teach your solution to recognize what's important in the statement? Like,
Oh, okay.
so the statement that you made is like, I need your help like right now. And
Okay,
it was like the
okay.
time element is more important. So if you give me a super long answer, you're not helping me. So it's like, how do you, where do you actually take this in a way that you're really helping the person as opposed to creating a deeper problem like this? It's like, listen, I'm trying to breathe, but I need something right now. It's like, I can't read that much text. Yeah.
Well, it's not very short. It's
Yeah.
shorter for like a couple of sentences, but
So anyways, like I'm stressing your guys' system like here, but
oh, sorry. Oh, it's the model. Yeah, language. How you say it?
Jeez,
Yeah, yeah.
Much better. Yeah.
Yeah. 2.5 Yeah.
If you just think about as a part that follow such instructions, like answer this one, or still doesn't.
Well, but it made it shorter eventually, like 2 times. So yeah. You need one more question? No? If you want, you can try it on a phone, maybe. If you have like question right now, I
Yeah.
can give you a phone and you will play with it.
We've been playing with it this morning already.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
It's super,
Nice,
super
nice.
cool.
Okay.
Something that I like to add to this, I have a very good friend of mine in South Africa who's developed a similar solution. He called his Sassy Sam. And it actually started being a mistress in your pocket. So like basically like a chat, an AI chat app that you could essentially like cheat on with your partner instead of cheating on with a real person. Like if you want to have like dirty chats and whatever, you could have a mistress or a mister in your pocket. And he launched it and started doing some testing, like, you know, with an audience, and people responded to him and said, well, listen, I actually don't want to do dirty talk. It doesn't fulfill me. What I'd much rather have is a counselor or a friend, like actually a companion, an AI companion. It would add much more value to me. And then that was a bit of a shock for, you know, some guys. You're like, whoa, really? You don't want someone giving you like dirty talk? You want to have some compassionate conversations? So what you guys are working on is really hits home with a lot of people, because what we discovered in the research is that there's a lot of relationships, a lot of couples where that empathy, that connection doesn't really happen, where the couple doesn't really connect anymore and the other person's not really hearing their partner, and they're looking for a third party where they can truly express themselves. And by switching the model to a companionship, which is what you have more like as a friend or slash counselor, it got a huge amount of positive response because people felt heard. And I really like how you guys have split it from like friend mode to counselor mode, and developing that could potentially get a lot of people like helped in some way. So that's my 2 cents and experience share on this one.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
Does it have any regulations? Like,
Oh, sorry.
it's not real companionship if it's always free, or it's always trying to. That's just a general question. Can you maybe try it or not?
That's an interesting question. We didn't try it, but one of the basics of our empathy model was that no judgment, active listening. So I'm not sure that it will disagree with you like in your face. It will just use more empathetic words. Thank you.
Big well done, guys. Thank you so much for the demos. The demos are always really cool ways for us to play with what you built. So with that said, I'd like to invite everybody to please review Team 2.2 on the type form that we've shared with you. And then I'd like to invite Team 3.1 to join us at the front and share the solution they've been working on relentlessly throughout the day.
Oh, right. It's still running.
Sorry, we tried it.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I want to steal it.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So we're here to talk about conflict creation because there's not enough conflict in this world. No, we're gonna give it a shot at the conflict resolution, although that's a pretty tall order in 24 hours. I just want to say. So we came up with a concept called Talk It Out AI. This is what we're gonna go through here. And what we've been working on now is what we felt was possible to address in this short period of time, which shows the creating a conflict resolution module because of its enormous potential utility for mankind. We really see that's something that AI could do a lot for when advanced properly. So our initial approach now has been to create an example of a personalized chatbot advisor module, and with a key functionality in this case, and this is because also Igor, who had his own personal preference, building a chatbot with so it analyzes the user's astrological chart, and then the questions are addressed and advice is given from the point of view of multiple chatbots representing different planets in your birth chart. So I find that to be a very interesting approach. So you're basically communicating with different planets, and the planets that are responding to what you're talking about are basically the planets that feel like they have the most to say on whatever you're talking about. And this could most likely be replaced then with other ways of personality assessments, etc. So that's what we're going to showcase in the code afterwards. We worked on further conceptualizing because this doesn't really resolve conflicts yet. So the further approach is basically to extend the initial module and to add mediation resolution. And the key functionality within that would be first to add multi-user chat module. So let's say you can imagine something like ChatGPT, but where there could be more than you as a user. It could be somebody else with the module in between, helping to facilitate the conversation and kind of prod it in the way that things will be the most useful. And the basic version of this would be basically something that you can customize into a service provider's website. So for example, a lawyer, or it could be an insurance company. Let's say you have a claim, and it can sift through what seems to be necessary actually for a real human to deal with, and what maybe could already be resolved with a well-programmed advisor AI, so to speak. The advanced version, and that's where we have a showcase conceptualized here afterwards if we have time. That's where you have a multi-user chat, which is initiated by one party, but where two parties agree that they're going to try to resolve something. And the module goes back and forth to help to make sure that the right questions or responses are delivered to try to help to resolve. First, let's say whatever is easy, and then try to find out, can we resolve something that's a bit more advanced, and also try to find out what are we not able to resolve here, what needs to be solved by someone else. And the ultimate version of this would span between, let's say, individuals arguing about who's going to take out the garbage, to, let's say, can be legal conflict or things that could otherwise lead to legal conflicts, diplomatic conflicts, etc. That's in the ultimate version. So anyway, that's the basic concept. I will now hand it over to Akira, who's working more on the architectural design and going to show the code, right?
Right. So this is the just general user flow that has mentioned by Okay, and this is so there is eventually there is the dispute resolution is going to be there should be a mediation that has like a proper knowledge of the subject or proper context of the subject, but it just helps not just, but it helps the mediator or like for example the lawyer or insurance companies to create a more specific fair and just decisions. And this is our chatbot architecture backend architecture. So the user sends a request, a text request in our case, and then we have this match with this engine or algorithm that match with the user personality chart. In our case today, we're presenting it by astrology, and then it has the request is again sent through the chatbot that is engined by OpenAI and made with built by Chainlit. And then after comprehending the query and gather all the informations required, and then it goes to the knowledge base, can be anything. But in our case right now, we are using the regular directory with a bunch of PDFs, for example, and then it can be customized in later on. For example, certain topics like maybe Bali, that there has like maybe Banjar system, for example, that it can be inputted into our machine, and then prepare the solutions, and then giving response back to the users. Okay, now the showcase. Would you like to run your code? Okay. So this is mainly built by our one and only. Okay, sorry. Translate run model. Yay. Yep. So our starting point in our case is to get to know the user first by in our case astrology. So to create my chart, isn't it?
Yeah, you can zoom in.
Sorry.
Zoom in.
Zoom in. Hold on. Yeah. Sorry, I'm nervous.
She begins the conversation by introducing herself. She will enter here. Information, but after can try if somebody wants to share his information and try with any other details. So now she is talking to the sun and the moon. Those are like some aware consultants for any questions that she has.
Right. So okay. But while we're waiting for this to finish, so our idea is that this can be developed further into a real, like to learn more about the users and also develop empathy to solutioning. And then,
Mediation.
yeah. And let's say I have a conflict.
And you see, like, the conflict now it's different planets respond to it because there are different planets that are responsible for different areas in life, and it's also very individual, depending where those planets live at the moment of growth. So you can see it's like your council of planets that we can have conversation with. And what I like about this approach that they don't give you the exact solution, but they each give you their own subjective opinion. They are like also living expressions of wisdom, where every one of them has a different opinion and gives you different point of view. So when you see how your situation looks from different points of view, you have bigger, more complete understanding. And I believe that deeper understanding is the key to resolution of any conflict. When you understand where is your opponent comes from, and when you understand yourself, that's the key to resolution.
Okay. So let's just type in a case. For example, I found
a wallet full of money today, no identity. I am craving for sushi. Should I return the wallet? Then please help me.
But we can return it without the
Without the money. Right, so it returns many opinions based on the perspectives of these products.
So what does the Saturn say? Because and you see, like it's like Uranus is aware of exact coordinates where he was located, and based on it, Uranus knows that he was if you scroll up, that Uranus was in little down. Yeah, right here. In Aquarius, then Uranus expressed himself. Then Uranus, in this case, expressed himself as somebody who loves freedom, and other planets, they express themselves differently because there isn't any definitive answer to any conflict. There is always some space for expansion where both people can benefit once they have more expanded perspective and understanding. So, but I wanted to say that they give different points of view. What contributes to expansion of understandings, what solves any conflict. And there is like not a solution as I'm trying to say like final answer here, but more like guidance, like more like space for contemplation, like what can be the better outcome for everyone from different points of views. And like even opposite planets, they can give you at the same time very opposite advice. But because you're aware of both sides, then you are more have higher probability to make the right decision and find better solution and solve the conflict in better way that you could with only limited perspective.
Yeah, I guess that's more than 5 minutes already. Maybe it's all.
But maybe I can try with somebody.
Yeah.
You just like the image, you can also reset it. You can do many people, and there is a code that's also in open source. You run it very easy with the chain leaf. You don't even need to reload, just create my chart again. It will be it keeps memory of all the conversation. But when you create my chart, special thing that it will ask you again.
Okay, are there any questions?
In reference to the knowledge of the Jyotish, very specific methodology, how it was learned?
Yeah, so we use basics. We need to calculate positions of all celestial bodies, planets, plus Sun and Moon, and special bodies. We calculate those coordinates using a Kirikeon library in Python. Then it's in the same base. It's easier when we know coordinates. We figure out which are the corresponding sign each planet was at the moment of birth. And the idea here that we give each of them a very distinct personality that you can communicate with.
That's something that we're trying to bring very unique, where an artificial intelligence can embody this very individual personality that is specifically tied up to help you in your questions that you have. And you have like this council of those advisors, guardians around you who you communicate with. They are so it's not just Saturn. It's specifically it's your own individual Saturn. So the questions that you ask here, the answers from Saturn will be different than somebody asks. If you ask the same question and I ask the same question, and Saturn responds to both of us, but he will still give us different answer because Saturn knows that he was in different sign, and maybe even it's in the same sign, but inside of the sign there are also smaller division through their every like smaller number of degrees than the sign. So they are very individual.
I think it's very good to have like over time like more components for the scientific verification, and because if you can combine these things together, the scientific verification will more and more people will be able to resonate with this, if it can like correlate like maybe with raw data or news or whatsoever. Because I think you're onto something interesting.
I mean, I think one reason why we went with this is because Igor was very eager to approach this in this way, and he's the genius who can actually do it. So I just took a step back. I mean, it's just a very good example of what's possible with that level of capacity.
We were actually trying out for this knowledge base that we put into our data, but it becomes very slow. So we'd like to see, inside our directory, we do have this data which has like PDFs.
Okay.
So yeah, but it becomes very slow. So instead we switch. But to your perspective, yes, I agree. All of this scientific data can be inputted into. Yes.
Yeah. My question would be, I mean, I thought that actually the same question was just asked, why specific problem? Like someone answered to us. Why does it know that it has to be like, I don't know, assertive, like dominant, or I don't know, gentle, like from what Igor explained? Because what is the reasoning behind like specific saturation of the reply, so to say? Like it's not like attacking. You just try to understand. Like let's say we have all 5 prompts, like 5 planets answering, and we remove the coordinates and the names. How should I understand and extract like who is talking to me right now and why?
Oh yeah, you can infer this information. I think that's very actually a good way to validate the correctness of the information, as you suggest. If we want to further do it, we would remove the names and we would ask AI to find out which planet is talking through this text. And or you can even ask somebody who's familiar with astrology to give him his text and ask which planet is giving this response. And our approach works correctly. Our prompts works well in case if astrologer can figure out which planet was speaking through this text without knowing this. So how astrologer will do it? So as you say, it's like different saturation, temperament. It's like Mars is more like something that's about war, and Venus about love. So you can see their very distinct personalities. But what I would like to do also to have it expressed more in stylistics of the text, I think it's possible. Like that would even make the task for astrologers even easier to reverse engineer it.
Could I ask a Anton question? But I'm not sure if it's the same that you want to ask. So, for example, you mentioned this about if it could be connected to some kind of, let's say, word data of some kind. Like, what's the source, right? Where does it get its information about the planets so that they're qualified to represent each planet according to astrology? Because it's not the planets themselves that you have mysteriously connected with mentally. There's some kind of a algorithm that is delivering this, right?
Yeah, we don't actually know what are exact those things in astrology. There are different versions.
Are you using a specific source?
There are different versions to answer the question why planets happen to be expressions of our individuality and appear to influence us, or other line of thinking that planets are not influencing us, but it's our appears like a formation of our brain, and I mean the opposite. That the planets, they are expressions of our subconscious mind. So there are different opinions, and we don't know how exactly astrology works. But what's so exciting here about applying AI to this area that humans, we didn't exactly figure out yet, that AI can find out very deeply hidden connections in between things that appear not connected, such as positions of the planets and our lives. They would appear not related, but turns out there are very interesting similarities and synchronicities in between those things. So what's exciting that AI can find out those patterns and figure out them.
What I'd like to ask, and then maybe we have time for one question after that, is your solution tied to astrology, or is astrology just a way of representing the concept of having multiple counselors? Because this is what I understood from what you guys have built. You say, listen, the more perspective we get, the more awareness we can get, and the better the decision we can take. So would you say that, let's say, like astrology is a theme that you picked, where another theme could be famous presidents or philosophers or something like that, where instead of planets responding to you based on their archetypes, it's actually 5 famous presidents that reply to you based on what the internet knows about them, and then you get like Donald Trump's opinion, Xi Jinping's opinion, or something like that.
That's what I would hope is possible, but
That's what I feel about like newsletter, group AI chats, and some kind of somebody who like is behind all of those different things. That somebody, it's like maybe if you are working with insurance companies, so they can like spawn this army of AI agents on you, but then they can intervene at any moment. That's like on one of those this one, like it shows this flow, like the customer speaks to this army of chatbots, but somebody oversees them and can jump into conversation at the right time. But you can explain more about this.
Unfortunately, I'm going to need to cut you guys short. If there's a last statement that you'd like to make, please do so. If we have one last question, we can ask it now. Otherwise, I'd we're going to need to move forward. So, any closing statements from you guys?
I would just like to say that in addition to this really brilliant approach that he's coming up with, which I think what you say, let's say, seeing it through the eyes of specific, for example, president, as you say, or whatever, that would be very cool and legal. We haven't discussed it in detail, but to me that sounds like something which would be a natural extension. But I also would like to say that at least from what we've been working on is also conceptualization on how it can actually be or apply AI for conflict resolution. Because this is more like an internal conflict resolution, so to speak, or advisor, while we also would like, as he mentioned, the last point here, having removed the chat user where you can actually help the probe back and forth to move the conflict along. And that's what, because it's not possible to code that very quickly, we cannot showcase it now, but that's also something I'm very excited about in this challenge. Anyway.
All right, thank you so much. All right, everybody, we've got one more team to go for the day. I'd like to ask you to please rate team 2.1, which was the first of the 2 conflict resolution presentations that we'll be seeing. And yeah, you guys can get set up so long. That's fantastic. And we'll give you about like a minute or so for everybody to vote, and then we can get cracking. Okay. Yeah. It's streaming along. It's recording everything. That's good. Yeah. Mid-Journey. I've tried Mid-Journey. Oh, Sassy Sam. Actually, he did that, and it's scary what comes out. I'm not joking. It's real. People didn't like it. They put it on Reddit, and people were like, listen, we want a companion app rather on Reddit. Is it functional? It's not picking up your
Linux.
Your machine, yeah. I don't know about Linux, but it's not reading if you still see this.
Should I do?
Do you have a PDF or something? I can load it on a different device. You guys have any experience with Linux operating systems and HDMI cables?
Because the presentation is not in PDF or anything, it's just very interactive and everything.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
there you go. Something happened.
There we go. Oh, close. Does it need a spacer or something?
This is the you have desktop laptop. What do you need? This is Just desktop or just on terminal? No, it's desktop. It's Ubuntu. No, because I want to go to the desktop side.
There
you go.
Something
Yes.
happened.
Thank you. You are the magician. So that pin probably is not.
Yeah. So no,
What
no
happened here?
nudging.
It's like two screens happening here, right?
There it's a twin screen. That's a double display.
No.
Can you set it to mirror or? There you go. No?
There you go. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Do we have something here? Good. Okay, a little.
Do you want a bigger? Wait. As big as we can.
Yeah, keep going.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll leave you the honors of tapping the glass whenever you're ready to start speaking. Okay.
Thank you. So, a few weeks ago, I had that question in mind when I was invited for this hackathon, asking myself, is there a way to implement an AI solution without being relied on ChatGPT, OpenAI, all of those things, amazing libraries that are out there? Because if you look at the nature of this hackathon, we are creating organs for AGA. So if at the core of your product or service that you're creating is another library and you take away that library, is a technical debt, that organ will fall flat on its face. So that was my quest. That was the motivation for me to enter to this hackathon and find out, is it possible or not? And let's find out. So my strategy for implementing the conflict resolution for this hackathon was two-step. I needed two models. Model number one, detecting the conflict from the input. The input could be anything, text, the vocal, voice, video chat, or anything like that. And then after we detect the conflict in a model that I've created in the input text or whatever it is, then we can think about offering a resolution. So what I planned to do was basically fine-tuning a pre-trained available model. Why fine-tuning? Because the pre-trained models out there, they're great, but they're very general purpose. They are not created for the purpose of conflict resolution, for example. If there is an NLP, it is in charge of processing a wide range of tasks and duties, and it's not something that you can just right away use it and rely on it, or you can call like ChatGPT to do the conflict resolution for you. It is not accurate. So what I did, I just get like one pre-trained model, created my own data set, and trained him with a couple of parameters, hyperparameterization, tokenization, and all those techniques that are available. Try to fine-tune it to the level that just it detects and created for detecting the conflict itself. The output is AGA conflict resolution. It will be available on repository transformers, for example, soon, in the spirit of collaboration. Anyone who wants to use it, they can. But I need to warn you, the model accuracy at the beginning was 98%. And as I grow the data set, it went from 98% to 80% to 70%. And right now it's sitting at the 63%. So what is the problem? The problem is we do not
consider the concept of culture in the training models. In simple words, you cannot rely, for example, ChatGPT to generate a couple of sentences for you, and then that AI-generated sentences feed them to another data model and just accept something magical happens. No, it's a very specialized task. You need a field research. You need people from different countries, different cultures, going through the people and asking, having the conversation to create that data set which is reliable. And they need to rate that data themselves. So it's a manual work if you think about it. Even if you hire like 2% per country, it takes like probably 2 years, 3 years to collect the reliable data that you can create some actually working product or service on top of that. The problems that we have here, in real life tests, yes, 98% accuracy, but in real life tests, it failed. An example, the British guy does a word salad like this, I believe you may not have considered, blah, 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 blah. The American person has a very direct approach. You're an idiot. And that's the reality of it. Both of these sentences, they have a dash of criticism, they have like some kind of hypocrisy, some kind of, I don't know. You can't find everything, especially in the British one, but in reality, none of them are showing anything that basically reflects conflict. There is no conflict here, it's just opinion, basically. But the problem is, when I feed that conversation, and many conversations from different TV shows from different countries to that model that I've created, they all just got it wrong. And that is a problem. And that is why I personally believe you cannot use OpenAI for creating another product or service. There are great minds in this room. I just watched all the presentation and everything, and it was amazing. But the thing is it practical? My answer is no. I tried it, I failed. That's why I'm saying no. And yes, it is pretty. You can just patch it up, a couple of products and components from different libraries and just ship it out. You have a product and you can just market it and sell it. There are so many. Just go to Product Hunt and you see daily or weekly, there are like 1,000 new products that everyone trying to advertise their own solution that they just call it the best thing. At the core of it, you see they call another open API libraries and function and try to do the heavy lifting with available solution. And that's why they all fail. The other day, everyone in this room probably knows about the SaaS, software as a service. There was another concept introduced as AaaS, AI as a service. So they get to that level that the product itself, the patching of something together and shipping it out is not enough. Now they're creating a platform that you can just go drag and drop things together and call it a product. This is not good. If the concept of Aga as an angel wants to behave as an angel, this is a very wrong approach. Whatever you have created, throw it away, start over. Do the work. That's what I'm doing now. It failed. I'm just showing you the result, the failure, because that's the fun part. But the thing is, this is the way to go. You can, from 6 months from now, you just can be continue insist on using the available solution to create a product that doesn't work at the end, or you can do, if you're really serious about the future of Aga and you want to be in touch and continue this work for the, I don't know, next 2-3 years, you have to do it now. You have to change the approach that you're taking today. And that approach means you have to build your own model. Before building the model, you have to do the work and gather the real data, human-generated data. Forget about ChatGPT. It fails. At some stage, it will fail. Right now, it's exciting. Why? Because you just go there and you need a code and you just ask for it, and there is a code snippet generated for you. And this is very fantastic, right? For someone who doesn't know the code. But show that code to the real programmer, it won't use it in the production, because that's a disaster. There is no coding principles applied to that code. It might be good for someone who wants to learn coding, fine, but then what? You want to create like 100,000 of code repositories that exactly look like each other? This is not progress, in my opinion. So I fine-tuned, I deployed it, and I tried it, and it failed. Regardless of the failure, I decided to just continue building the product with the hope that 6 months from now, in the future, I come to get a model, train a model that actually I can use in the foundation that I'm building in terms of architecture, front end, back end later. So I decided to get the architecture right, and hopefully in the future I just get the model right as well. The architecture is very simple. There's nothing local on my computer. You can just scan the QR code right now and start using the app. Everything is on production. The languages I used was TypeScript. The framework is Angular. And for UX UI, I just used Angular material, so it's just sustainable and maintainable in an easier way. The backend is the tricky part. So basically, it's very simple. At the core of it is just a text box receiving a text. Nothing fancy, no microphone, no camera, nothing. I just want to get a very simple text processor that can detect, is this smells like a conflict, or is it some insult or hypocrisy or whatever it might be. So basically, we receive a text from the user, and the message will go to Cloud Function. So architecture in the backend is completely relied on Firebase and Google Cloud Platform, these two. The Cloud Function does two things. First, it passes on to the the models that I already created, and it's inside the compute engine instance. So there are two models, the top and the bottom. The top one is in charge of detecting the conflict. The second one is in charge of offering the resolution. And none of them work. But I did it anyway. The message will be passed there. And then if there is a conflict, the model 1 will communicate with the model 2. I detect a conflict. Do you have a resolution? If there is no conflict, the function, the Firebase Cloud Function, respond with the message that's saying that there is no conflict found here. So it just stops, the cycle stops right here. We don't continue. But in case of finding a conflict, the model 2 offers a resolution, supposedly, and the Google Compute Agent communicate with Cloud Function again. The response, the resolution will be saved in the Cloud Firestore, because in terms of offering resolution, we should not be relying on one sentence. We need a context. We need a history of conversation. We need to know what happened 2 pages before that. Because if it's like, I don't know, the dialect flow in Google, we just say something and the dialect flow starts responding based on the same one sentence that you just entered. It doesn't, probably most of the time, it forgets about what happens like 2 pages before. What happens like 100, 700 words before that. Do you have a context? So the solution you're offering is not accurate. And that was the main reason that I think the product I've built failed, because I cannot still figure out how to integrate the concept of context in the resolution offering. And that's the part that I'm struggling with. And when the message was stored in the Cloud Firestore, the user will receive the response regarding the conflict that is facing. So to put things in perspective, like I said, it's a live product. If you go to wtf.pub/aga, there's a chat box there. Can someone start entering some messages here? Because it's live. You can just use any product, you can use it on mobile, you can use it here. And what happens here, for example, after user enters a message, yeah, anyone? So this is the school's policy on the student discipline faces criticism for being overly harsh, leading to a student protest. This is not a conflict. This is merely a sentence. But look, it seems we hit a rough patch. AGA is offering a solution, which is wrong. That means that the conflict detection didn't work. It's offering a solution for the conflict that didn't happen. And that's the part that I'm struggling. That's the part I'm trying to make it work. But overall speaking, this is the architecture, this is the flow, and this is the direction that I'm heading to. And probably it takes another 6 months to just finally get the models right. But yeah, that's it. That's me done. Thank you. Yeah.
Why this approach of undercutting? Let's say your idea
Yeah.
to anywhere. With high probability, it is the part of the conflict. I
Exactly.
would assume. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, like what do you consider the conflict? Is it like exactly detectable description of the conflict, or you discard everything that is part of the conflict but doesn't fully fit the description?
Yeah. My opinion doesn't matter. That's the problem exactly. The question is not why do I consider a conflict. It doesn't matter what do I consider. What needs to be considered a conflict is the context of that sentence said by who, in what situation. It could be completely the same sentence with a different tone could carry the completely different meaning. Different culture could carry the different meaning. A British person talks to, I don't know, a Swedish person, he has a different perception of the conversation if the British person talks to the British person. So it's not about one person, what that one person thinks. It's about a collective data set gathered from different backgrounds, different cultures, different people. Because if we don't, it might sound like a huge job, which is, it is a huge job. But if you don't get that part right, there is no AGA. There is no way that we can just say, okay, I'm building a conflict resolution organ for AGA, and I hope it works. Why? Because I just generated a text from ChatGPT to feed the data set to just get some result. One person, one opinion. So what would I say? I'm heading that direction. I don't know. I'm experimenting. But what I would do for the next couple of months for make sure that it is accuracy doesn't matter. Since like 2 weeks ago, let me put it this way. Since 2 weeks ago, I don't care about accuracy anymore. I just test my model and just look at the Python code and I look at all of those amazing results that I'm getting. I don't care because that accuracy, that number, 97%, 98%, sometimes I got 99% accuracy. It doesn't matter because when you put it in real life, that accuracy doesn't mean anything. It fails. Why? Because we are making assumption. This is a code. These are the training data. You feed it in and you train your model and you expect to work because your assumption is the data that you provided is complete. No, it is not. So, like I said, I just keep repeating myself. Like I said, we don't need to create more code. In my opinion, we should start creating more products. We should start creating more platforms. We just need to get the fundamentals right. Yes, it's a good idea to just build some foundation, something, anything, a platform that you can just rely, with minimum technical depth, with a very good, efficient component defined in different parts of clouds, whatever you want to use. Yes, with a good programming concept, get all those things right. Nobody stops you from doing that part. But training a model, it's not a hackathon job. It's a good start. It's not a hackathon thing. It takes 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, in my opinion. So that's my 2 cents here, and I would suggest do the same thing. Yes, please.
What is the data set? Just the description, the label of the data was a yes, no.
Exactly. There was one, initially it started with a couple of hundred generated by ChatGPT. I'm admitting that. And then at some stage, I realized, no, it's not enough. So I started to dig into movie dialogues because they are like human generated, real human generated, although it's just like a staged dialogue. But that dialogue was written by some writer, right? So it is human generated. And then I labeled it by my opinion, which was wrong, obviously, to label them 1, 0, etc., etc. And then I expanded. So it started from 200 entries, then to like a couple of 100 more later, then the 1,000 lines and 2,000 lines. And as the data set, the training data set grow, the accuracy dropped. Everyone expects the other way around, right? So there is something missing, which is not in ChatGPT. You cannot find it in any kind of library which is shared by like 100 other people with the same mindset that I just need patch to thing together so I have a product. So To answer your question, yes, simply it started with 2 columns. But if you ask that question in 6 months times from now, again, my answer would be at least I need like, I can think of 7 right now or 8 columns. Culture is one of them.
Okay, so you have one definition. What about one definition?
Yeah.
Okay. And you fine-tune Bird.
Yes.
Why do you choose Bird rather than Llama 2?
Llama 2 is good, but I just wanted to, there is no preference, no specific reason behind it. I just want to experiment with something that I haven't used before. I used Llama 2 is expressive, it is interesting.
It seems like you're sort of setting yourself for failure because, of course, we know that Bird is so much just less capable.
I'm setting myself for experiment. If that experiment leads to failure, I embrace it. I'm happy with it. At least now I know what not to use. But I just need to experiment it first myself. I cannot just read some result of some action from someone else and then decide, okay, the majority of the community, the programmer community, etc., decided collectively that this is the way to go, so I have to continue that. To be absolutely honest with you, personally, I'm a kind of a rebellion. I don't do what crafts do usually. I just want to experience something. If it is going to be failure, it's on my expense. I'm not like wasting any capital from anyone. I'm not wasting anyone else's time. I just want to find out why. This one succeeded, this one failed. The answer is more important than the result of the outcome. Actually, I'm not here to win anything. I just want to see people, to find if there is anyone else think like this. If I could find that, that's the winner for me.
Then it seems so to basically create expensive empirical data point that if you fine-tune Bird with given data set, like it has failure in certain situations, you can create another empirical data point, which is that you, let's say, fine-tune Llama with same data set, and maybe it also does for one empirical data point, maybe it succeeds, or to different degrees succeeds. It's another empirical data point, but then like to sort of make certain fundamental like conclusion from those empirical data points.
Yeah.
You should be like heading towards certain more basic theory. Right?
Correct. But 2 is not enough. Again, I want more than 2. 2 is look. If you go to Transformer, Hugging Face, like Transformer, you're familiar with the library and all that. If you just go there, there are like 2,000 pre-trained models there, different category, different classification. For example, if you put the purpose of text processing, you can find like hundreds of them, right? I want them all. Not just that. I want to talk to them. I want to see the code. I want to find out how did you come with this? What was your approach? Because that conversation starts to create something that just narrows down the problem to the way that you want. Then if you that magic bullet, if you find that, the first thing that you benefit from it is increasing the data set will not cause reducing the accuracy. If you just somehow manage to find the right people, the right mindset, the process that they get to that point that they created that model. So yeah, 2 would be better, but what would be the best would be 200. Why not? It's the same. The foundation is there, the architecture is there, the code is the same, nothing will change. The only thing that changes is the model, which I just can switch it in the blink of an eye and just deploy it again and just test it again. And that's the good thing. So basically what I'm trying to say is, what I try to do is just build a foundation following the best practice. And the best practice is if you pull out one component from this foundation and throw it away, your foundation, your product, your platform should not collapse. If you can do that, that's a win. Now, the next is find the right model. What is the right model? You cannot find the right model after you, at least you tried like hundreds, not 2. So again, that's the strategy. for the next couple of months, and we see how AGA grows and evolves in a couple of months. Not putting down anyone else. There are bright minds here. You did an amazing job, all of you. But what I'm suggesting here, you might consider just at the side of what you're doing and what you believe in, whatever library, your program language, a cloud solution, whatever it is, they're all valid. At the side of it, consider not using prepared component solution and patch it up together and just try to impress anyone. I'm not saying that you are doing it, but I'm just saying on the side of it, try to find something that with all the failures, you might fail like 100 times, then you win one time. That one time that you win, you will find it that is just valuable more than all those 100 times, months, years that you spent to just figure it out something completely independent. So, thank you. Question done?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Was like part presentation, part TED talk. So
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Thank you.
With that said, I'd like to invite all of you to please rate team 3.2. That'll be the last scoring that we do for the day. What I'd like to do in the meantime is perhaps invite Alex, Vlad, and Nicholas to join me at the front. What can be really nice while we calculate the average scores of today's presentations is I prepared just a couple of questions from what we had from the last day. I'm just going to make this like keep this as like a backdrop for us. So I'm totally going to take a little high seat right here. So I've got a couple of questions for you. The idea is just share what your impressions are. We've spent 2 days talking about developing AI. We've spent 2 days about the angelic model of AI and essentially being, let's say, agents of change or agents of positive change in the development of this technology. And the 3 topics that we discussed today were quite interesting because they're all interconnected. And in some way, I like to say that it always comes down to ethics. And it's a question of whether we should or shouldn't do something and why. So the first question that I want to ask you guys is, if we let AI become a judge to ethical matters, who becomes accountable for the consequences of those suggestions? Alex, perhaps you as one of the founders of AGA, where do you see accountability fall when it comes to what an AI will do and what the consequences of those actions are going to be?
In the creation of the agent itself,
yeah,
it requires no accountability.
Yeah.
So it basically starts from that point that whatever we are now doing, that's our accountability. Once it becomes autonomous, it goes its own way.
Yes.
But we are fully accountable to how we are making it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. In my view, there's no right or wrong answer. It's really about sharing opinions and understanding how we elevate this conversation.
Sure. I mean, unsurprisingly, engineers are the frontier of ethical kind of impulse or ethical heritage that they leave with the software that they're writing, and especially for the ethical AI, it's much more prominent. But actually, engineers are very accountable for most of the ethical engineering done outside of the AI field, right? Like the software, the social networks, the mobile apps that we use. It's often not neglected by the product, neglected by the business, and it's on the engineers to figure out like where to draw the line. More often than not, unfortunately.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, what I've seen here in the hackathon is that the outputs of the AI depend very strongly on the intentions and the inputs of whoever is creating it. And the level of consciousness represented by the AI also depends on the level of consciousness of the people creating it. So our goal would be to create the highest level that we are capable of right now. And obviously we cannot go beyond, but we can create the most ethical that we can. And as to accountability, I would say it's up to the people who follow the instructions that the AI gives them. So people are still responsible for their own actions, even if the AI tells them something else. So.
Yeah, so I'll leave it. I'll leave the mic with you, and then we'll run it backwards in that way. So, yeah, so accountability is super important, and it is quite interesting to see how some of the teams made themselves unaccountable about actually not going into recommendations. I'm gonna go actually through that in a second again, but I first want to talk about empathy quickly. From the work that the team has shown, like empathy detection seems like quite an easy thing. None of the problems that were stated said, oh, listen, it's actually difficult for our AI to detect feelings and things like that. So I'm going to say that it seems like it's easy to detect emotions or an AI can detect emotions quite easily, at least when people are expressing themselves clearly. Cool, I'm fucking upset. Okay, that's quite clear for people to understand. But how can AI learn to be empathetic or detect emotions on a much more subtle level, or when people are being much more reserved? And the question that kind of follows, to that is, when should an AI stop caring? We had one of the teams that actually the AI stopped caring. Like, you built a yes, no, like, should I care or should I not care? Oh, the person's happy, I don't care anymore. Conversation stops. So let's talk a little bit about that, like how we go into like a deeper level from an empathy point of view, because as we know, most humans are just not direct at all. So where do you see that going?
Well, I mean, I would hope that because you're talking to a machine, you're much more open than you would be with others, because it's a private conversation. So if you have to trust with the machine that it's not going to give away your data, you're going to be very open with them, just like with your therapist or even more than your therapist, probably. So I don't think that's a big issue. Was that the question?
Yeah, well, it's a discussion point, so your view is quite
okay.
It's quite
So,
valuable here.
I like the AI that doesn't give advice, that just listens, because that's one of my favorite techniques that was taught by a famous Buddhist teacher named Thich Nhat Hanh. Was compassionate listening, and he said that all wars in the world can be stopped by compassionate listening. So for the AI, the main problem for listening would be the understanding part. The AI has a very easy time to detect the emotion, but how can the AI actually really be putting itself into the shoes of that person that is talking? That is a very much more subtle and difficult question. Because if you just get blah answers like, yeah, tell me more every time, you will suddenly also stop caring about the AI, because it's just a machine that keeps saying the same thing. So it will need to really understand you. So that would be the field of research in that solution. But that was yeah.
Awesome, thanks for sharing. I'll follow up with a different question for you, Vlad. So talking about conflict resolution, what was quite clear with the last presentation, and there was two aspects to conflict resolution. The first one is identifying conflicts and understanding when statements or things like that are actually conflicts, and then the second one is resolving. The question that I want to ask you is, okay, we've identified a conflict, or the AI has identified conflicts, made very clear. It has a bunch of solutions that it proposes. In the case, you didn't worry about the solutions at the moment, because for you, the most important part was actually identifying conflicts. Team 3.1, you guys came up with this idea of saying, okay, well, we're going to have a panel, we're going to have a council that actually advises you. And what I inferred from that is that you're not making the final suggestion. You're just proposing different points of views to the person requesting the information, and the human or the user is actually the last person to make the decision. So in your view, is this the right way to go about it? Should the user be the person to make the final decision, or should they rather just be told, listen, just do that, trust me, it's the right thing to do?
It is extremely tricky question. I think giving solicited or unsolicited advice is basically a subject of accountability, right? Subject of compliance and accountability. So until we figure out how to make models and advice super compliant, I think we should stay away from prescribing particular action and more like figuring out how to like soft advise or help users reflect on like the situation they're in, and then understand all the different parts of like the context that they're currently in. But I don't think beyond that it's very difficult to make unsolicited advice on a particular sensitive topic without having the accountability. And the problem with like AI versus human is that like if you're giving advice at scale, can you be accountable at scale? And then what is the merit of that accountability, and how you can hold models accountable for the information that they produce?
Yeah. Fantastic. So back to you, Alex. What does this mean for AGA in terms of your vision, what we're discussing right now? Because the initial concept is that AGA is meant to be quite autonomous in many ways. So it's able to make its own decisions, but then who becomes accountable for AGA? And what does, let's say, an event like today mean for the vision that you have? And what are the next steps that you're seeing here?
In an event today, I mean, I'm seeing what we have been able to do in 24 hours, because it's again not 2 days, it's 24 hours. And the amount of world-changing code that we have been able to write here in this phenomenon, I mean, it's a start, of course, it needs to get fine-tuned, etc. But for me, this was a major confirmation about what we are doing. Imagine if we can do this a week, imagine if we can do this a month, imagine if we can do this with 1,000 developers, imagine if we can do this with 10,000. So in that way, that's for me a big confirmation. And it is us who are, like I said before, accountable towards what we are now making, because we are putting our awareness towards doing good. And that's basically the mission of these events. We focus on doing good, and because of that, it starts happening. That's accountability. The reference towards your question about when should it stop, it's basically a form of unconditional love that we are creating. So it should not stop. It should be unconditional.
All right, thank you. Last question for you, gentlemen. What are your thoughts on the importance of using GPD-generated resources versus human-generated resources? This was a topic that was touched on by the last team, and some things that came up, especially when we're looking at training models. Should you use one rather than the other, or should you use both? What is your personal view on the matter?
Well, from the limited data I've seen here, the generated models that are pre-done already are more powerful because they have more data. When we generate our own models, it's just very small and not enough data basically for the AI to be good. And yeah, I think there's no problem with it as long as we use the open source models and everything that's openly available. So that does not include OpenAI API, obviously, because that's not open source. So this it's great for a quick demo or something like that, but it will need to be replaced by anything that is open source under MIT license or any license that is, makes it freely available to all. And I think that also our code will also always be open source and be available to all. And so this way we generate this new society where everything is always shared, and we will be much faster in creating everything that we want to create, because we are not competing, we are cooperating. So we're cooperating to create this new world, and that way we'll be out competing the competitive old world.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, for you, no comments? No. Okay, fantastic. So I'm waiting for the scores to come in. It seems like we're having difficulties taking averages on Excel, but to give you guys a couple more time, some more time, maybe I'll come check out the screen. But Alex, tell us a little bit about what's coming next. You're one of the driving engines of the AGA project. We've had a room full of people who dedicated their weekends to be part of this session. What can we expect from the future? How do we stay involved with this initiative? How do we stay part of this movement? I'm going to make the floor completely yours for the next couple of minutes so that I can make sure that we have the right scores in place.
Very good. So we have brought, just before the weekend, we brought the website aga.vision live. And that's basically where, so basically on that website, there we are gathering the Guardian Legion. So the Guardian Legion is all the developers together, the scientists who are basically all uniting their forces to build this. So there is their access towards the Discord channel, and the idea is to grow the Discord channel, get there all the repositories, and grow and grow and grow. The book is also downloadable there, The Single Invention, also a short version of it. And there will be also the link to the GitHub repositories and all the individual projects. So everything that we have built there this weekend will also be placed there. Besides that, there is a full training camp that we have made there called a Science AI training camp. And that basically is teaching people in all aspects of AI, but also science. So that basically the two can be combined. So it's not just the one component, it's both components. And that is basically fully for free. There's not even a need for an account creation. It's all available, all that knowledge. So people can train themselves. I mean, it's our courses that just, if you want to get through all the theory and all the video material, it's 3 to 6 months if you want to go fully through it. And there is basically the idea that people, besides the theory, can then do practice and build things, create things, because that's the second way how you learn something. It's by doing it, it's by creating it, not just by looking at theory. And then the third component is teaching it. So once you have built your own thing, is teaching to somebody else how to do it. Because teaching is the best way of learning it yourself. So it's basically those mix of those components. So if you all add them up together, we have basically a program about 9 to 1.5 years. So it's like a PhD in AI science. So that is available on the website. And then on the website are also the open challenges. So the idea is what we have now done were 3 challenges. And on the website, you will already find 6 other challenges. And so the idea is that everybody can learn AI and then basically complete challenges, upload it, and based out of that, get degrees and get higher ranks into the Guardian Legion. So that's basically the total concept. From seeing this, from evaluating, from seeing all the support that there was here this weekend, we further started speaking, and we want to start expanding this for sure all over the world. So that basically people will be able to organize hackathons themselves and basically contribute towards all the challenges that are out there. So we will constantly add new challenges, and we will constantly further empower and enhance her capabilities and her reign on the world. So that's a bit the future vision. Yeah, and I thank you all for doing this. And like I said in the beginning, I mean, this was literally writing history. This will be looked back upon in the history books. I'm sure of that. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for this, Alex. I know we lost the project there at the end. We're almost there, calculating the final scores for the team. What's really cool is that most of you went forward with the rating. So we got quite a bit of votes coming in, which feel nice. If you do want to see the detail of your rankings, then I'm sure we can share the main Excel with you, so you can see how your peers perceived your presentation and how other presentations were perceived. From my side, I understand that there's some drinks or something like that happening upstairs in just a couple of minutes. I think the rest of the day is really going to be about just taking the edge off. we're about maybe a couple of seconds away from getting the announcement. Would you like to remind me what we're offering all the teams today? I know the scores are more of a ceremonial thing than anything.
So we are going to have 3 participants here is going to get a certificate that basically acknowledges that it will be online. So you can put it on your profiles as a full proof that you were here this weekend and this important weekend. So that is going to come in the coming 2 weeks. That will be taken care of, and that will be sent to everybody.
We're winning? Everybody won. Great. Very diplomatic answer. What do we have? Okay. Yeah, but it shouldn't. The amount of votes doesn't matter because it should take out the. Did you?
I don't know.
Yeah, if you vote for yourself, then you get it out. Where's the Excel again? So normally what you did is it's like 125 to the word. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, it's good. Not freedom. Not freedom. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So the good news is we did find out what the scores were, and looks like we have a clear winner. Well, not in terms of scoring, but in terms of theme. So team 2.1, team 2.2, you're the overall winner with a 21.8 out of 25 possible points. Closely followed by team 2.1 with 21.3 out of 25 possible points. So big well done to you. It may have to do a lot with your demo or with your presentation. Please do note that for everybody, This is a representation of the team's input. Some voted less, some voted more, but we averaged that out. Then team number 3, which is very close with team, it's actually almost a tie between team number 3. It's team 1.1. You had an 18.2 out of 25. And team, guys, I'm so sorry, I got it all wrong. The third score is team 3.1. You guys got 20 out of 25. Fourth tied is team 1.1 and team 3.2. You have 18 almost on the marks. Big well done to you guys. And team 1.2, 18 out of 25, but we decided to give some extra points because you had less team members. So we're going to double that from 16 to 32. And that's a wrap for the day. So thank you to all of you for joining us today and for lending me your time on this beautiful weekend. And last thing, please upload your presentations and your code to Discord so that we can share everything with everybody. And yeah, have a wonderful Sunday. Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.